Hi, I'm Tevi Troy. I'm a an institute. I worked in the Bush administration as the Deputy Secretary of Health in countries around the world, including the Middle East and Asia and Europe. And I'm now here at Hudson Institute, where I write a lot about healthcare, but also about the history of the presidency. Well, obviously, there's no one solution to problems, but I think in general, my approach to life is to stop and think before acting. And so I know a lot of the discord in the Middle East recently has to do with this film that apparently wasn't even a film, so and is not done by anybody important or relevant here in the United States. So I think people often need to think before acting, and I think that would often solve a lot of these problems. Obviously, it's not the panacea or the cure to everything, but I think it might stop some initial bloodshed, to be sure. Well, sure, I'd love to see the three major religions get along better. For example, I'm of the Jewish faith, and Jews were very welcome in Muslim lands, particularly under the Ottoman Empire, much more so than in Christian lands, whereas these days the Jews and the Christians have better relations than the Jews and the Muslims. So these things do change over time, and I think just because things might be in a bad spot now, that doesn't necessarily mean they'll be in that kind of bad spot permanently. Yeah, look, I'm anti-terrorism. Terrorism is bad. You shouldn't be engaging in those activities. That's an absolute, and to be sure. And the mainstream principles of the three religions that you talk about do support and understanding, and I think those are good things. That said, we all know that there are terrorists of the atheistic non-religion. So you will find people who are radical in all sorts of areas. What you really need in each of the religions is people who are willing to condemn outrageous behavior by people who behave outrageously in the name of that religion. You need, if there's someone Jewish who does something not only inappropriate but wrong or evil, you need Jews to condemn it. You need Christians to condemn Christian terrible behavior, and you need Muslims to condemn terrible behavior by Muslim people. It's so clear that you need people who are willing to stand up to the radicals and say, this is not our way, this is not the right way. And the majority of people in all the religions believe that way. We just need to have strong voices out there condemning these kinds of outrageous behaviors.
Again, and there is a common thing in the three divine religions, and I know we share this view actually with Christians and Jewish and Muslims, and which is in the end times. And King Moshiach is expected of Judaism. Mehdi is the same person with the King Moshiach, because the signs given in the Torah and the Hadiths are exact. And the Christians and Muslims expect the return of Jesus. So, and these many signs are happening actually, which are given in the Torah and the Hadiths. So that means a golden age, a good times are coming close.
Sure, I'd love to see that happen, and obviously we all pray for that to happen. But when that happens, we won't have to worry about these issues of terrorism and violence. But until then, we need to figure out here on Earth how to solve those problems. And so that I think is the key for now. I'm no fan of Marxism or socialism. I think they're both extremely flawed. I think what you have is a lack of freedom. And whether it's imposed by a monarchy, or an authoritarian regime, or a military regime, or a Marxist or socialist regime, it's the lack of freedom that leads to a lot of these expressions of hatred bubbling through in a non. When you have freedom, it's often clunky, awkward, sometimes ugly. You have people shouting at each other, but you are less likely to have people. To all people, a happy and a peaceful and good times, and remember that we all want the same things at the core, and we should look at people in that way.